Welcome to the MUTV group chat, everybody. How you doing today after that excruciatingly late equaliser from Southampton last night? But remember, it is still in our hands. Lots to discuss with the boys then. Again, three-quarters of the normal team have assembled. We've got Wes, we've got Ben, and we've got Danny. And again, no Maisie, but thank goodness Darren Fletcher has stepped in. Good to see you, boys. You okay?
Oh, good, Stu, mate.
Good, Stu.
Now that the dust has settled, how are you feeling about last night? Go with you, Ben, first.
Obviously disappointed because, you know, the chance was there for us to leapfrog both Leicester and Chelsea. But I think we were up against a team that have also come out the starting blocks well since we got going again in June. High octane, high press that they had, and not just for the first sort of 20, 25 minutes. They kept it going and kept us under pressure right till the death, and obviously that's when they scored their equaliser. So for that aspect, I think that anybody that watched the game wouldn't begrudge Southampton the point that they got, but it's still disappointing for us because of the position we found ourselves in to catapult us up into third.
Dan and Wes, you were there. I mean, could you sort of feel it coming at the end? It was under a bit of pressure, weren't we?
Yeah, we were under pressure, and there was a few people that obviously we had Luke Shaw go off and Brandon went off, and it was just like the last 5 minutes or a couple of minutes we were just hanging on. And I think that's where you need your leaders on the pitch to organise people and make sure everybody's, you know, you get the job done and see the game out. And unfortunately, we didn't manage to do that. But I thought we had enough chances to win the game. You know, I like Ben's word, high octane. I thought Southampton were definitely high octane. Do you know what I mean? But no, all in all, I thought Southampton were a good side. They came and put the fight up, and it just gave us that little shot in the ribs to show that we're not invincible, even though we've been playing really well of late. And I think we'll respond against Crystal Palace, all being well.
Yeah, where's a big chance? A big chance to go up to the top three.
Yeah, it was Stu, but at the same time, you know, they did play well. They put a lot of pressure on us. You could see what we were doing the last sort of 10 minutes. We were just sort of sitting back and just trying to fend everything off. But you know what? It's not the worst result in the world. You know, we've had a good run, and we listen. Everyone expected us to win, but that was a good team yesterday that they played, and you know, we still had chances, like I said, in the game to put it to bed, but it wasn't to be. But we're still there. We're still in the run for even third. So we just got to keep our heads up. Today, I'm not as worried as I was yesterday. You know, it's a new day, and we just look forward to the next game.
Yeah, Fletch. I mean, now there are only 3 games to go. It's in our own hands. Which, I mean, I think you definitely would have taken that in, I don't know, late January, early February. But somehow it just feels a bit of an opportunity lost, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think with the other teams' results as well, we probably could have pushed ourselves right into third place and in pole position. I still think we're massive favourites to finish in the top 4 of all the teams. It's in our hands. I think Ollie alluded to it before the game where he said he sort of was aware of this sort of happening because I think he recognised Southampton were a good team, and not that he thought they were going to draw the game, but don't get too carried away with the praise and don't get too low with the criticism. So the biggest thing tonight is people are going to jump on the fact, or today is, people are going to jump on the fact that United drew to Southampton when they've been in great form and try to bring us down a bit. It's important that players don't get dragged down. Circumstances dictated we should have won the game. Southampton are a good side who are in good form. They recently just beat Man City. You know, injuries, playing with 10 men, conceding a late set piece. They're disappointing things, but you've got to look at the bigger picture of our form overall. The same team for 5 games, I think, in a row as well. Maybe a little bit of tiredness creeping in, but you know, the lads shouldn't be too disappointed. They've been on a great run. They're showing great form. Some people weren't quite their best, but that can happen. Other players were really good as well. So I think that, you know, don't get too down from it. Don't let the outside noise affect you in a negative way now. Keep it in-house, and I think that's what the players need to do. Listen to the staff and Ollie. They're the only people you've got to please. There's a lot of media in around the game today with social media and things like that, and I think that's what he's trying to get the message across to the players is, I'll tell you if you've played bad, or I'll tell you if you've played good, and if you're doing what I say, then we'll be happy and we'll keep driving forward.
You mentioned there, Fletch, you know, 1 or 2 players maybe didn't quite play as well as they used to playing. Probably Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, who've been absolutely brilliant in this long unbeaten run of Manchester United, were subbed. But, I mean, you can't be brilliant in every game, can you? I mean, that's just one of those things, isn't it?
No, and the level that they've shown in the last few games has been ridiculously high. They maybe just dropped off a little bit. So I don't think it was a case of them playing badly, not at all. I just think that a little bit of tiredness, a little bit of whatever over a number of games, it just didn't quite happen from. You've got to remember, Southampton are a team that press you, constantly under pressure, so you don't have a lot of time on the ball. So that can force turnovers and mistakes. The flip side of it, I thought Anthony Martial was fantastic. I think his endeavour, his work rate, the talent's always been there. There's always been question marks about his, maybe his work rate and his desire, but he's definitely putting that right, and he's been the most surprising player for me. I think he's been fantastic, and I think we're seeing somebody on the cusp. If he keeps this going, and a real elite number 9 goal scorer, a massive positive from last night for me, his attitude all night.
So if we have a look at the table, lads, 1 point separating third, fourth and fifth, 60 points and 59. That's literally, that is all there is in it with 3 games to go. Now, we'll have a look at the games that each of the teams have got to play as well. But when you look at that, is your gut instinct, when you look at what we have got left, is your gut instinct that we will get over the line?
I think so. I mean, I don't think, football's a funny game, innit? But I don't think that with the position that Chelsea find themselves in, that they are going to slip up against Norwich tonight. But the 2 remaining games against Liverpool and against against Wolves, I know that people will say that, Liverpool have had some sort of dodgy results ever since they won the title. They probably think that they've taken the foot off the gas. But Jurgen Klopp, for me, is the type of manager that won't want to see their season just peter out into nothing. And they realise that, they can affect who finishes in those places. And similarly for Leicester, they've got to play us, they've got to play Spurs, and they've got to play Sheffield United. And apart from the game against us, Sheffield United have looked an absolutely immense side since starting. I mean, they've had a good season anyway. They didn't turn up against us for whatever reason, but I think in every other game they've raised eyebrows, and I think they'll do the same again. So with the fixtures we've got, I would feel as though we are still in pole position, even though we didn't take advantage of that last night. And I agree with Fletch as well. I think Anthony Martial has been superb. I mean, he didn't score against Villa, but it was him grappling with Mings on the halfway line that got that goal. And it's not something that you're used to seeing with him. He got his hat-trick against Sheffield United. He scored a wonder goal against Bournemouth and another one again last night. And I think he has definitely been a shining light since we restarted.
Yeah, on that point, Chelsea, Norwich tonight, Liverpool away, Wolves at home, Leicester, Sheffield United at home, Tottenham away, and us, obviously. We've got Palace, as you know, West Ham, and then finishing with Leicester. So Webb's, that it's obvious from that United's it's got a slightly more favourable run there of fixtures.
Yeah, and I think, the beauty of it is it is actually in our hands, even if we get to the final day, and we have it in our hands to beat Leicester. So, if everybody wins up until that point, that's the position that I think, as you say, 4 or 5 months ago, if you'd have said we're going to be in that position joint with Leicester, fighting for the Champions League spot, you'd have bitten our hand off. So, yeah, Chelsea. Well, more to the point, it's what we don't need to worry about what anybody else is doing. We get what we're doing in order, and we'll be okay. I have no qualms about that. And I just think last night was that little, like I say, jab in the ribs. It makes you go, hold on a minute, get back to your basics, do the right things, get your killer instincts, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, Wes, you happy with the way the running looks?
I am. I still think it'll probably go down to the last game, but you probably get a surprise tonight, Stu. You just never know. That's football.
No chance.
No, I'm telling you, something could happen. But yeah, it's looking like that. I've just got a feeling, Leicester will win their game, and then it'll just come up. It'll come against us, and that'll be the big one, really. But it's exciting. What a position to be in for us, considering where we was. We were kept winning even when we first come back, but so did everyone else. And then over the last couple of weeks, we've had a few slip-ups. So it's looking good. The lads are playing well. Picked up a point last night. We could have took advantage of that, but I'm still confident that we'll do it.
Yeah, on that point, when we lost to Burnley at Old Trafford in January, we were 14 points behind Leicester. And now here we are 1 point behind Leicester with it in our own hands. You would have signed for that, Fletch, wouldn't you, in January?
Oh, without a doubt. And I was at that Burnley game, and it was not a nice atmosphere that night. And the turnaround since then has been fantastic. The arrival of Bruno, Pogba fit, Marcus fit. You know, talking about 3 world-class players that are coming in your team, of course it's going to make a difference. You know, everything about the squad's really good just now. As Webb says, last night was just a little bit of a reminder that if you're not ruthless in the Premier League and you're not concentrated for 90 minutes against good sides, you can come undone. I fully look at the fixtures. I back United anyway, no matter what the fixtures are, the way they're playing just now. But looking at the fixtures, I can't see Chelsea and Leicester getting full points, and I think that United will be strong favourites. And that Leicester game at the end, you know, Leicester had a fantastic season, but they've just fell away. You know, these last, so 2020 form's not been great, but they've picked up injuries, their form's not great, but they're still a dangerous side, let's not remind that, and they've still got a lot of quality. But United are in a great position, exciting times with the FA Cup tie as well. That extra fixture will come into play as well. We will see changes in the team. We've got to expect that as well. I know we've had the same team for a long time, but we've got 4 games now in the space of 10 days. There was a little bit of tiredness last night. You could see that. So I would expect that some people are going to be fresh and chapping at the bit to come in and make a big impact as well.
I'm going to ask you guys for what you think in terms of team selection for Palace on Thursday, but I just wanted to pick out a couple of things from last night. First of all, Romeu on Greenwood. Now that challenge, you guys as ex-professionals, you looked at that. Did you think, yeah, he knows what he's doing there. He's trying to do him there.
Definitely. Yeah.
You're trying to leave. It was common. That was probably commonplace years ago, where you know a young lad would come in and you'd give him a dig and see how he react. But it was naughty. That was from Romeu. But he definitely knows what he's doing.
Wes would have been sent off every game if that's a red card.
I do go with the ball, Stu.
Nah, to be honest, I think you've got the thing is we all think about football about leaving a bit on. The game's changed now. You can't do that anymore. Maybe back in when we were playing, that was sort of a given that you had to accept that was going to happen. Webbs as a striker probably got it every game as well. People leaving a bit on and leaving a mark. But we can't keep harboring back to that because at the end of the day, the game's changed and you literally cannot do that. So he's a very lucky boy because he knows exactly what he's doing.
But do anyone know why that wouldn't have been looked, or maybe it was looked at by the VAR, but nothing? Why was nothing? Surely that's what VAR's for, isn't it? If the referees missed that.
Yeah, that's what it's for, Stu. And I think I've read somewhere that he looked at it and it was no decision. He didn't want to take any action, so it's a bit weird. And that's where it's not consistent in my view. Some things he gets, some things he don't. So
they don't want to undermine the referee on the pitch, but that's where the whole thing's coming. They don't want to seem to be undermining the referee. They'd rather the referee make his own decisions, but yet the referees won't go and use the monitor. The Premier League have messed up their VAR situation. I think Gary Neville said on commentary last night as well. They've tried to be too clever and think we know best rather than, it's been shown to work in Europe. All the foreign leagues go to the monitor in Italy and Germany, and we've tried to do something different and it's backfired massively. The problem now is they don't want to change it midway through the season. But as of next season, without a doubt, you'll see referees going to the monitor and correcting their own decision, which you're more likely to do rather than somebody above you undermining your refereeing skills, which you can understand is happening, but we want these things eradicated from the game, and that's what VAR is there for, to get the correct decision at all times.
I wanted to ask you about Rashford and Martial as well in that first half. Obviously scored a couple of terrific goals, 21 goals apiece. Even though we're feeling disappointed because of that late goal. Again, there was some great build-up play and some exciting attacking play. I mean, United are still incredibly exciting to watch, aren't they, Webbs?
Yeah, amazing. I think, firstly, Martial's goal, that's what you want to see him do. I think that's been the frustration for a few years now because he's shown it in glimpses. But, when he runs at you like that and comes inside and he's a decent finisher, he's a problem. He should be doing that every single game. He should be isolating people and getting him, driving at people. But I think what impressed me about him and was for Marcus's goal, where he actually held the ball in the box, back to goal, had the awareness to find Marcus. That kind of forward play is what Ighalo's been brought in to do. Back to goal, hold up and bring other people in. And Martial's obviously taken that into his game. And they're playing with an unselfishness when it's right as well. I think they're not trying to just, score for themselves. And by doing that, you play for each other, you actually get more goals out of it. So, yeah, playing good and always looking a threat. Just those if I was to nitpick at anything, it was just the killer instinct when you get the chance to make sure you put it in the back of the net because you form.
Because wasn't it? Was that elusive third goal? We felt like it would have been game over, would it not, benefit? If I think obviously Marcus had a good chance and Anthony had a chance or two. That third goal would have killed it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. When you think about the goal that was quite rightly ruled out for offside, it was a great move that Marcus finished in about the 15th minute mark. Then obviously you think about the goal that he did score and then the chance that he missed when Anthony Martial brilliantly found him with that reverse pass and they somehow managed to get a toe to it, either the goalkeeper or I think it was Ryan Bertrand, one of the two, and it deflected over the bar when it looked easier to score. Anthony Martial, when Ward-Prowse made the mistake, he went through. There's very few better in that position. He's got a really calm head and McCarthy sticks his arm out. And you are just waiting. And obviously his little weaving run in the second half when he went through and he just put it, well, he didn't just, he missed it, he shot and he killed it way over the bar. These are the things that Danny's talking about, that you need that killer instinct. And I think that if that third goal would have gone in, then I couldn't see Southampton coming back from that. But with the way that they played, and the way that they pressed us and put us under so much pressure right until the death, when you give away set pieces to somebody with the quality of James Ward-Prowse, he especially when he can put corners in swinging, and they've got two big lads there that they aim for to get the flicks on, it's very, very difficult to mark against, and that's where that killer instinct that Danny was talking about really comes in and comes to the fore.
Palace away then. Thursday night, we were unchanged, as you mentioned earlier, with 5 games running. Now, there's clearly going to be, I think, changes. We don't know what's happened to Shaw, his ankle injury. Brandon took a blow to the head, so we're not totally sure whether they're going to be available. So, are you going to be picking a side, guys, thinking a little bit of Wembley on Sunday? Are you going to make changes? Fletch, I'll start with you.
I think you always have to be aware of just fatigue in the squad. I know they've got a great system in place for, checking stuff like that and checking the fatigue, looking at the minutes, the red zones and all these things. They've got a fantastic sports science team alluded with the doc. So they'll be aware of all these things. So all they'll just make calculated decisions about putting the best team out possible with an eye on the game of the weekend as well. I think that you want continuity. Too many changes as well can cause its own problems. So you have to guard against that. I think we've seen that a little bit in Norwich when there was substantial changes, the performance level drops because you've just got players who haven't got that game time, and you can carry 1 or 2 with that, but when it goes to 4, 5 and 6, you sometimes see an effect in the performance. So I think Ollie's got a decision to make, but he's got more than capable players on the bench. We've got a really strong squad, and there's lads who haven't played for a long time who have done well for Man United. Let's not remember that as well, like Fred, McTominay, Dan James, Gallo, lads who have been fantastic this season, who find themselves out of the team. I'll be desperate to get in there and show what they can do. And by doing that, if you come in and put in a good performance, you probably will find yourself in the team for the rest of the season. That's what we always had at Man United, and that's what Ollie will want.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 players there, or 4 players. You mentioned Fred, McTominay and Dan James, who tended to always come on in the games of late, and sometimes Igalo as well. Guys, would you expect some of those to start at Sellers Park, Ben?
I've got 3 of the 4 in. I've got Fred and McTominay to come in, along with Dan James, because I think down that side with Van Aanholt, who does like to venture forward, I think it might give him a little bit of a second thought if he knows that he's got a speed merchant going the other way. And obviously United catching people on the break and sweeping forward like they have been doing, he's going to sort of put him in 2 minds whether he does venture forward, but he does like to join in. And was it not him that scored the winner at Old Trafford earlier in the season as well?
Yeah.
So I've got Dan James in. I haven't got Igalo in for the simple reason being is that I've kept Martial where he is because I think he's in a rich vein of form and he's scoring goals. And obviously Marcus as well coming in from that left-hand side. But I've got James, Fred and McTominay to come in.
Yeah, Dan, similar or not?
I think our biggest worry is left back position. With Luke Shaw, if he's depending on how he is, if he's out, and then I don't know, because it's a head injury, sometimes you have to, with the game being so soon, you might have to miss it, Brandon. Then who do you put in there? Is it going to be Dallo that plays on the left hand side and a bit lopsided? I don't know where Marcus Rojo's up to, but that's the thing for me. We've had such a nice balance. I think that position is key, but I also think there'll be one change in the middle of the park. I think McTominay will come in for Matic, just to give him a bit of a rest. I just don't see him changing. The four I don't see him changing are Martial, Rashford, Bruno, and Pogba. I just see them getting through it, if I'm honest. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, Wes, what would you be thinking of in terms of the selection Thursday? Yeah, we don't know the left back situation, but what would you be thinking of? Wes, I think you've muted yourself, mate. Sorry, we're desperate to hear you. There you go.
That was great analysis as well, Wes. I loved it.
Really good, yeah.
To mute it, but yeah, I would probably, the left back position, especially if the lads can't play. I mean, maybe you're going to have to ask one of the other defenders to obviously do a job. You said Dallo. I mean, maybe Bailly as well could come in. I just think because Pogba and Bruno came off, I think they probably will start. So I probably agree with Dan on that one. And then, yeah, I think he'll maybe put Scott in or Fred. I mean, he could really choose, but I'm guessing it might be Scott and keep the three up front. But, I mean, I like Dan James maybe coming in to sort of look at that side of the pace that, Crystal Palace do have on that side of the pitch. And he's a good worker. He works hard for the team. So, yeah, I mean, there could be a couple. I don't think there'll be loads, maybe 2 or 3.
Fletcher, we were talking about the possibility of United having a problem at fullback, and obviously Wilf Zaha is the main man for Palace, and might be interested in that. But what when you think back, it's always a bit perplexing for me that it didn't happen for him at all at United, because he's a brilliant player, isn't he? But it was just too young, maybe at that point? Difficult time to come to the club, I suppose, with Sir Alex leaving and so on.
Well, there you go. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Sir Alex signs them in the January, and then by the summer, the manager's not the manager anymore. So I think that there was no better person in developing young players than Sir Alex Ferguson. I think it was a big change as well for Wilf coming from London as a young lad up to Manchester. I think you've got, it's not, you might think that that's nothing, but for a young lad as well, it's a big change. And it just didn't quite happen for him. I feel sorry for him because he's a talented kid and he's a great kid. And I think he would have, potentially could have had a fantastic career at Manchester United. But these things happen. It's probably more to do with managerial changes, really, more than anything that cost him. The fact that Adnan Januzaj came onto the scene a little bit as well. And I think that David Moyes favoured Adnan over Wilf and then didn't really want to go with both of them. And then Louis van Gaal comes in and didn't quite work out there as well. And Wilf was one of them lads, he wanted to play. So he wasn't just happy being at United and being in the squad and getting a few games. He wanted to play, he loved to play, and he had an enthusiasm for the game. And if he sees a weakness at United at left back, he won't want to play against Aaron Wan-Bissaka because he got no change out of him out the last time. And he'll see if somebody comes in new at left back, and I know he likes to play on the left-hand side, he'll definitely see himself going over to that right-hand side to cause somebody coming into the team who maybe not used to that position. He could give him real problems. That's very basic, exploiting not a weakness in the opposition, but something that's not quite normal there, and that would be a natural thing for him to do.
And boys, Palace have reeled off 5 straight defeats since getting past 40 points of being safe. Benteke suspended. Would you feel they're probably maybe ideal opposition at this point? Because they're obviously they had a good season. They're not going down, or they're not in trouble at all. So what do you suspect we're going to find at Selhurst on Thursday?
I think, honestly, Stu, nobody doesn't put a shift in versus Man United. I think when Man United roll into town, it makes people step up and want to do the best. So I don't see it being a walkover. I think we'll have to go and win the fight, and then just if we're clinical enough, then the heads will drop. But we've got to get the job done, I think, first and foremost.
I think you saw that against Chelsea. I thought they played really, really well against Chelsea, and obviously Wilfried Zaha scored a wonder goal, albeit I feel as though the goalkeeper should have saved it, even though he did hit it well. But he is capable of doing that, and I'm with Danny on that. I don't think that anybody's going to lie down and just allow Manchester United to steamroll over them. They're playing for their pride as well. They realise that they've come back and they haven't won a game yet, and they're going to want to try and put that right.
Yeah, Wes?
Yeah, I think the same. If we start off how we have done, I don't think they're just going to lie down for us. They haven't got anything to play for, but they'll still want to put in a good performance. But if we can keep it going how we have been, if we can get the first goal especially, I think you see the heads dropping, like Dan said, and we can take advantage of it that way. But listen, every game now is very important, and we've just got to keep up the same mentality as we go into it.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Good to see you all. I didn't actually go through the reaction from our last show on Friday, which I should have done, but just one piece I should have read out from Travis on YouTube, who says, "Why does Ben sound like Gary Neville on helium?" Is that fair?
That's harsh, that.
I'm just used to it. I'm not bothered. Do you know what I mean? Just bring it on.
Love it, Ben.
mutv@manunited.co.uk. That's the way to get in touch with us. Thank you very much for joining us today. Guys, good to see you all. Take care. See you again very soon.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, everyone.
Nice one.